Good evening. As I said on the WhatsApp, we'll Chodesh Tov. Yeah, Chodesh Tov. Yeah, we still say Chodesh Tov. You know, the Sfaradim still eat meat today because it's Rosh Chodesh. Although Mishnichnas Av Mematim B'Simcha, from the beginning of Av, we are a bit less happy. Rosh Chodesh. So today, the Sfaradim ate meat, drank wine. So as I said, we'll continue soon the Halachot of Zimun and Birkat Hamazon, which we started last week. But beforehand, we'll touch just in a nutshell some of the halachot, not all of the halachot, some of the halachot of the 9 days and Tisha B'Av, which halachot which I see that people have a lot of questions about. So first about taking showers. Can we take showers on the 9 days? So that's everyone here in mind. We have such a heat wave. Obviously, it's pikuach nefesh. We have to take, not pikuach nefesh of us, pikuach nefesh of the surroundings, not to have a shower. But let's go and see it in halacha terms. So from the halacha, originally, only in Tisha B'Av, there's no showers. Only in Tisha B'Av. Same, only in Tisha B'Av, and the day before. So Damaseket, the meal beforehand, there's no meat. But the custom has become to extend some of the provisions of Tisha B'Av to a few days beforehand. So taking showers, for example, Sfaradim started from the week of Tisha B'Av, and Ashkenazim expanded from the beginning of Av. Another explanation of the Ashkenazim, that Sfaradim will have a shower in cold water or cool water, and Ashkenazim don't have showers at all. Okay, that's the halacha. But all the showers, even in Tisha B'Av itself, even in Yom Kippur, okay, if my hand is dirty, I'm allowed to wash my hand, which means the shower that is forbidden on Yom Kippur and obviously in Tisha B'Av and so on is taking showers for ta'anug, for pleasure. If it's just for cleaning ourselves, so one can wash himself, maybe not a whole shower on Yom Kippur, but if the hand is dirty on Yom Kippur, we can wash the hand on Yom Kippur. And therefore, since after usually a day in Israel in the hot weather, we are all dirty, so we can have showers even during the 9 days. And just the logic of it is that in Europe, it's freezing outside, even maybe on this, depending on where you are, okay? It's cooler than Ma'ale Edomim. It's cooler than Ma'ale Edomim. Exactly, how often people shower. Today, it's very common for everyone to shower every day. And even sometimes after half a day of not having showers, we feel sticky, right? Even after half a day, we feel sticky. And in the olden days, they used to have a shower once in a few days, once a week. For Shabbos, they used to have a shower. Okay, so that's why taking showers today, even for Ashkenazim, it's permitted as long as now we don't take nice long showers. The purpose is just to clean ourselves, and that's it, and not for the pleasure of it. Another question, which yeah. I've been trying to fill up my jug with cold water to drink cool water, and it doesn't work. The cold water just doesn't work. Yeah, there's no cold. So is there any? No, you just have. The idea is not a shower of pleasure. Okay, so if usually you take a shower with 35 degrees of Celsius, so today there'll be 30 from the fridge. You don't need to take water from the fridge. Yeah. The idea is you don't need to do those ice contests that you pour in. No, the idea is just to have a shower just for the sake of cleaning yourself and not for pleasure. So cut it a bit shorter, save a bit of water on the way. That's the idea of showering during the 9 days. Another question is about clothes. Clothes, even we wear a fresh clothes, a fresh clean clothes. It feels different. We feel nicer. The idea on the 9 days is to feel the lack of the temple. On those days, it was very, very common. Sorry, it was very rare to wash your clothes. Once in a week, you have to take it to the river and scrub it and boil water in your backyard or front yard. It was really a headache to wash your clothes. Here for Ashkenazim, the common halacha is that from the 9 days, we don't wash your clothes. And we don't even wear nice, clean clothes. Now, which means that before the 9 days, we had to prepare all of our clothes and wear them for half an hour, and then lose the fresh feeling of these clothes. This halacha doesn't refer to underwear, to socks, and so on, which is clothes that aren't supposed to, they're supposed just to absorb the sweat or to keep us more clean. So we can wash socks on the 9 days, we can wash underwear on the 9 days, that we can do, and we can also wear If you run out, yeah. If I have 20 pairs of socks in my don't just So just, but if I have only 5 pairs of socks, so I don't know, or 8 pairs of socks, and it's 9 days, so I need.
I think nowadays everyone can get
Okay.
yeah.
But sometimes I don't know. Sometimes sandals, right? Hearing sandals. Yeah. Hearing sandals. That's solves the problem of socks.
Never
Right? He's Israeli. He became Israeli. Yeah. So yeah. So for that, so if someone, for example, forgot to prepare clothes, and he does all of his clothes that he has in the cupboard are nice, clean clothes, he can put them on the floor for a bit, walk on them a bit. They don't need to be dirty. Not the point is not to make them dirty. The point is just to the fresh feeling of it. You don't have them anymore, and then you can wear the clothes. One more halacha about, or 2 more halachot about Tisha B'Av, the fast itself. One is about washing. So as we mentioned beforehand, all the washing that's forbidden on the fast is washing which is for pleasure. But if I want to clean myself, I can wash my hands on the fast. And another is about sick people. And there's a difference between people who aren't feeling well, between the Tisha B'Av and the other 3 fasts. Tisha B'Av is already, although all the fasts are mentioned in Nevi'im, the Nevi'im, Tisha B'Av has a more severe meaning to it. Both temples were destroyed on the 9th of Av. It's considered the fast from the Nevi'im, while the rest of the fasts, the other 3 fasts, if we accepted it upon us to fast on those 3 fasts. Tisha B'Av is similar to Yom Kippur with the fact that we don't wash our hands and we don't wear leather shoes. It's 24 hours compared to all the other fasts, which is only somewhere between 10 and 15 hours, depending on how long the day is. So also for people who aren't feeling well, there's a slight difference between them. Someone who has pikuach nefesh, obviously also on Yom Kippur, he can drink. Someone who isn't feeling well, he's sick, okay, he has a fever, he's lying in bed, he has migraines, severe migraines, he can drink on Tisha B'Av and also on the rest of the fast. Okay, that's similar to them. And as we mentioned, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, when someone drinks on Tisha B'Av or eats on Tisha B'Av, he can drink normally. It's not like Yom Kippur that one has to drink only small amounts. If he decided to drink only small amounts, it's considered his fasting. So he can say Aneinu, for example, and Shomea Tefillah, because he's fasting. He can say Yom Tzom Tanitenu. He's still fasting. He's not eating a meal. As we mentioned last week, even someone who is not feeling well and he doesn't need to fast, he shouldn't now have full nice meals. The ice cream he should save for a different day. He should be part of the community. Maybe on the evening he should fast and then drink on the daytime. Where do we see a difference between Tisha B'Av and the rest of the fast? It's a big weakness. Okay, someone who's very weak, or pregnant woman, or breastfeeding woman. While we are much more lenient in the other fasts, in Tisha B'Av we are more machmir. We say they should fast, or they start the fast. People who are very, very, very weak, okay, they should start the fast. If comes a point that they become already sick, which means they need to stay in bed more than usual, if a pregnant woman, there's a danger for the baby, obviously there's no question about it. She should drink, right? But in many cases, there's no, depending on which stage of the pregnancy, consult with a doctor. She can fast. A breastfeeding woman, a nursing woman, they usually can fast, and they'll feel a bit weaker, but not to the extent that they'll be very, very weak and they'll have to stay in bed now for the whole day. So people like that who are weak, so they should fast in Tisha B'Av. And if it comes to a point where they already feel sick, it's an abnormal weakness. And even if it doesn't put them in danger, but it just takes an abnormal weakness, so it seems like that they can drink on Tisha B'Av like they have a fast, but we wait a bit until that happens. Okay, so that's a few halachot about Tisha B'Av. And before we move to the brachot, we should maybe understand the idea of Tisha B'Av. All the fasts, especially Yud Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, had a great potential in them. Yud Tammuz, that was the day when Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the luchot, with the tabernacles and tablets. And it had the potential of, wow, we're receiving the Torah now. Everyone should be happy around us. So Yudaim Tammuz had a great potential. And unfortunately, the potential was broken. Well, there was the sin of the Eger. We started discussing beforehand the red calf, now red heifer. Now there was the sin of the calf. So there was a big potential which broke. The same with Tisha B'Av. There's a great potential in Tisha B'Av. It's a day when the spies came back from the land of Israel, and theoretically they could have told the nation, wow, this land is a great land. Hashem is with us. We can go and fight our enemies, and we'll succeed. But in this potential, we missed the potential when the spies came and started speaking bad things about the land of Israel. So when we mourn in Tisha B'Av and we say kinot and we read Eicha on the floor, it's not just because we don't have a temple now. It's because we have a great potential. And when we have a great potential, it's something that we should try and rebuild. It's not that we aren't fasting for the fact that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed almost 2,000 years ago. We are fasting for the fact that today, this potential of having a Beis Hamikdash, we don't have it. So that's the reason of the fast. And we should try and rebuild the Beis Hamikdash every day, every moment. And maybe rebuild that doesn't necessarily mean to come to the temple and start bringing big stones, but by increasing love with each other, increasing Torah, increasing good words about the land of Israel. That's the way we can build the temple. So with that, now we'll go to Birkat Hamazon.
Isaac Herzog certainly filled that today.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that's great. So happy to see it on the
very proud.
On the first day of Av, right? Speak good words about the nation, about the land. That's about the state of Israel. One of the things which brings us together is food. Okay, and actually on Sudam of Seket, I'm not sure if we'll be learning next week because of Tisha B'Av, but when we come together, eat together, there's a sense of happiness with each other. We're happy, we belong to each other, we joyful with each other. That's why when we eat together, we want to take this power to a positive and holy place, and we also say Birkat Hamazon as a group. On Erev Tisha B'Av, on Sudam Seket, each one sits in his corner and eats by himself quietly without joining to a Zimun, because we are like mourners. We are sad that there's no Beis Hamikdash. A very common question is, and that's what we'll discuss today, how do we join to a Zimun? Or who joins to a Zimun? And we'll give a few examples before we go into the halacha. The first example is when I was in yeshiva. I learned in a high school of Yashlos, Yeshiva Tzeirim, and we used to eat together with Merkaz. We used to have this huge Chadar Ochel, huge, and each with many tables there. And comes the question, we come together, or each one comes on his own time. Some people leave on themselves. Do you have a Zimun or no? Do you have to make a Zimun? Or can you make a Zimun? Okay. The same place of dining room will be for Shabbat. Shabbat, usually we eat, there's more of a connection with each other. On the same place, same room, is the difference between Shabbat and the weekdays. Do we have to eat with each other? Can we eat with each other? That's one question. And now one example. Another example is we go to a wedding or bar mitzvah or whatever, and there's many tables. Okay. Can we make a Zimun together? Do we have to make a Zimun together? That's two people are eating. Comes the third person and joins them. Does it become one group or doesn't become one group? Three people are eating. They became on the car or at home, and one decides he needs to leave. Can he leave? What happens if he leaves? What happens if he says Birkat Hamazon by mistake without realizing that there's a point of a Zimun? So that's questions hopefully we will discuss today. Okay, so we are in Siman Kuf Tzadi Gimel and Kuf Tzadi Daled, 193, 194. Hopefully that's what we'll be learning today. I'm not sure if we mentioned it last week, so in case we didn't, so we'll just mention it now. If we have three people, they shouldn't separate. They should have a Zimun for themselves. Make sure they eat together, finish together, and have a Zimun. If we have four people, they shouldn't separate. If we have six people, they're allowed to separate to two groups of three, because they are obligated in Zimun. Okay, Zimun, in many cases, it's not an option, it's an obligation. Okay, if we ate together, we need to do a zimun together. Okay, if we're together, we need to do a zimun together. What happens? Let's start from Seif Bet, okay, in the Shulchan Aruch or Kuf Sadi. Let's actually Seif Aleph. Let's start from the wedding, a wedding question. Okay, and that is very, very common in a wedding question. When in those times, it could be people would want to do zimun by themselves, or because they wanted to leave early, or because when someone does zimun in the end of the hall, you can't hear them, so you won't be able to join the zimun. Can you do a zimun by yourself? Today we use already microphones, right? So you can hear everyone. But someone needs to leave early, okay? He knows the wedding is going to go on until 11:12. They'll do Birkat Hamazon. He's an early sleeper. By 8 o'clock, okay, he's already in bed. Okay, the chuppah was an early chuppah. 7 o'clock is chuppah. 7:30. So that's a fast chuppah. So 7:30, 7:40, he sat down to eat. Ate a bit of bread, a bit of salads. Now he wants to go home. Does he need? Is he stuck here now until 11 or no? Okay, is he stuck until 11 or no? So let's read the. What is it? Well, he leaves early, or he gets stuck until. He's early. Okay, so it could be, yeah. So the Shulchan Aruch first refers to a case where you don't hear the bracha from the person doing a zimun, which that was more common on those days before they had microphones. And if it's a room with 100 people, and I want to separate to do zimun, what will be the best way to do a zimun? I can't hear the zimun from the central zimun. I can't hear. So obviously, the best thing will be to separate. That will be the best thing, to separate, right? Should I have a zimun of 3 or a zimun of 10? 10 is always better, right? How do you know 10 is always better? Because if I have 10 people exactly, I'm not allowed to separate to 3, 3, 3. So 10 is always better. That's a good question. Does it matter if it's Sudat Mitzvah or not? Hopefully we'll discuss it soon in a different aspect of the Sudat Mitzvah. But it doesn't matter. Okay, there's not so much of a difference between, we'll see soon a slight difference of a Sudat Mitzvah or no, but it doesn't matter. It could be just a meal of a party or just Sudat Mitzvah. Okay, my friend is getting going to the army, and he brought all of his friends. Okay, that's it. So typically we should have 10 groups of 10, okay? Because then we have a zimun with Shem Hashem, Nevarech Elokeinu. But let's say we don't want the Baal Habayit, we don't want the host to all of a sudden feel that people are doing zimun by themselves, and he'll get insulted. So in a case like that, says the Shulchan Aruch, they can even divide to groups of 3 and say the bracha, blessing, softly, quietly, so he will not hear it, and won't get insulted. You can see here how much insulting people is important. One of the stories of the Churban and the Gitin, Daf Nun Hey, the story of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. Very appropriate to have it now. They're sitting in the meal, and he gets insulted, and that leads to the destruction of the temple, where people were insulting each other. You can see here, although usually it's better to do zimun with 10 people, not to insult the host, we can do zimun with 3 people. Today, in our days, we don't have usually the problem of not being able to hear the zimun because we have microphones. Yet, many people want to leave early because today the zimun, as we said, might be at 11 or 12. And therefore, when a group already comes from the beginning and says, okay, we have in mind not to join the whole group. Our mind is to be here until we need to leave, and as soon as we need to leave. So from the beginning already, they never joined a big zimun. Even if there's one person, okay, who joins 3 people. Okay, so there's a zimun. We said if there's 4 people, they're not allowed to separate. But comes this one person and says, I need to leave in 20 minutes. I need to leave. Okay, I can't join you for a zimun in 1 hour. So since from the beginning he didn't have any intention of staying there, he can separate and even say Birkat Hamazon by himself without joining the zimun. So that's a halacha which we find it quite often. Another halacha. What happens if we have 2 people eating together, and then comes a 3rd person? 2 people eating together, and then comes a 3rd person. If he joins them, and now he says in mind, I'm joining you, yeah, I'm joining you, and I'm joining part of the meal. So they need to do the zimun, and they have the zimun. if it's just snacking, okay, with them, if they're just coming and snacking something, so they don't need to do a zimun together. Maybe they can do a zimun together, but they don't need to do a zimun. So he's allowed to leave earlier. But if he really comes and sits down with them as part of the meal, so they need to stay there for zimun. There's a interesting halacha here. What happens if people are riding the horse together? It's not so common maybe nowadays, but we can learn from here the idea of joining together. There's a group of 3 people riding the horse, continuing to ride, and then I say, you know what, let's eat now. Okay, let's eat now. So although each one is eating from his own bread, and they didn't get off the horses, they aren't really established to eat together, since they have in mind to become one group, so they become one group. Okay, but so you can see from this halacha and that it doesn't necessarily need to be sitting around the same table. It depends a lot on the mindset. What's our intention? Is our intention to be one group, or we don't have an intention to be one group? Okay, so it all depends on the one intention. It's they're riding together. Okay, since it's hard to get off, get on. Yeah, didn't do so much horseback riding, but I guess it's very easy to continue sitting on the horse and eating your bread. And it's too hard to get on and off and tie the horse. And then he wants to eat also from. So it's just continue walking. That's since you decided to eat together. That's considered as one meal. That's one thing because why you're on your horse. Even tefillah, okay, even tefillah, Chazal were quite lenient and said that if someone it's better to get off the horse, that's the best, and to have an off the horse. But if now his mind won't be with it, and he's now in a rush, okay, we always look at our days as being in a rush. And those days, they used to be on the horse, and they didn't get the Amazon shipment 24 hours later. It took them half a year to get the shipment from Amazon, which came with a brew that brought a message. But yet, I think because sometimes we see in the halacha, because things took a long time, people were rushed, and every second was considered very, very important. Every second. So getting off the horse, like Chazal said, that's already sometimes too much. So people could even daven sometimes while they're on the horse if the mind won't concentrate because he needs to stop riding now.
Is that the same thing as today? Like, forgot to say
in the car? Yeah. While you're driving, it's better not while you're driving, but yes, but you can say while you're driving. In the highway. Yeah. So you can say, okay, yeah, you can say, yeah.
So if you're on a bus or the airlines, can you get 3 people together?
And say, if you eat together, now, if you're saying on an El Al airline, okay, and each one gets their own food, okay, usually the way it works, each person eats by himself, which means they don't really wait for you, they don't share with you together, they don't really eat together. If it's now decide, okay, you know what, I'm done eating, yeah, and facing each other, even if you sit in the same row, okay, you sit in the same row. If maybe a way to measure it, what happens if one says, you know what, I'm not eating, I'm done eating, I'm leaving, okay? I'm going to, I don't know, to chat with the guy who's behind me, okay? How will the other 2 feel? If they decide to eat together, why are you leaving the table, right? Why we decided to eat together? But if they just happen to be there, you want to leave. There's no commitment to here. So since they didn't,
yeshiva is the same thing. Everyone brings their shredded.
Exactly. So that'll be a question to yeshiva, which we'll just discuss in just a moment. What happens in yeshiva? Okay, what happens in yeshiva when each one comes? And just a moment. We'll get into it in a moment. Great question. Okay, so in an El Al airline, unless specifically or they decided now we're going to eat together, and they had really in mind to eat together, so there's no zimun. But they really have to have it in mind to eat together, which could happen. Like many times as a family, okay, you share things. That kid doesn't like the bread, and he doesn't like she doesn't like the meat. So you eat together, you share things. That's what we consider eating together. For 3 stranger people, they'll really have to decide to eat together. What about yeshiva? Okay, what about yeshiva? And that really brings a common question, at least for us. I remember in yeshiva, in the high school, we used to do zimun, and the students of Merkaz Harav typically did not do zimun. Okay, so and we used to laugh as students, as high school students always like to laugh at other people. Right? That's the nature of high school students. The people from Americas don't have friends because they never eat together. Each one can. We high school students, we're friendly, so that's why we do Zimun. And always I remember as high school students, we used to do Zimun. That was a regular thing. And the students from Americas, I'm not sure how it is today, the regular thing that did not do Zimun. Now, based on what we said, it makes sense. At least for the students of Merkaz Harav, they never decided to eat together. One comes with his tray, the other one goes. They never decide to eat together. So maybe they even can do Zimun. Since we came together as a class, the bell rang, and all of us as students ran out of the classroom, ran as a herd to get the food, and we sat down together and filled up the table based less on empty spots, where the first place I can find a spot. Usually each class sat down in their own table, and everyone sat down with his friends. So we really, even without saying it out loud, we decided to eat together. Not only that, we even used to do Zimun between tables, even in a yeshiva, high yeshiva. So in the end, you sit down around one table. In the end, you speak with each other, there's divrei Torah, you continue the shiur together in one table. What happens if you have, let's say, 4 people who ate bread on one table and 6 on another table, or 3, and 4? Okay, can you do a Zimun together? Since they didn't really establish themselves on different tables, maybe they can do, but for sure they aren't obligated to do Zimun together because they aren't really one group. And so for sure they aren't obligated to do Zimun together. As high school students, we came together, we threw olives at each other from different tables, right? That's what the high school students do. So we sometimes move from table to table to speak with each other. So that's really becoming one group. The same as a wedding. Okay, you have the same waiters giving you food, you have the same kitchen. Many times you move from table to table, you have the same chatan and kala, hopefully different same chatan and kala. So you really become one group, and you can do Zimun between all of the tables together. Okay, so that answers that. So here comes for Seudat Mitzvah, you mentioned, and on Shabbat. On Shabbat, even when you said you're separated, in the end on Shabbat, you're one group. In the end on Shabbat, you all sing together, right? Let's say, and that's maybe could be more of a common question. You go to a hotel. Usually each table eats by themselves, right? You can't do Zimun between different tables in the hotel. For sure, you aren't obligated to do it. But sometimes on Shabbat, especially when you have a guest speaker, even if the table next to you is strangers, or they are seder, okay? Each one has their own table, each one has their own afikoman, each one has their own kids trying to steal the afikoman. But you have one rabbi who's leading the seder for all the tables together. And no one leaves the table before for everyone else because you're part of one seder. Or in the army on Shabbat. In the army on Shabbat night, you aren't allowed to leave the room before the person with the highest rank leaves the room. So even if it's 2 different groups, in the end, they're part of one meal, and seems like that they'll be able to do Zimun with each other. Okay, so we didn't discuss now all the Halachot of Zimun. The main maybe theme that we saw, that to be obligated in a Zimun, we need to be considered as one group. Okay, it's one group. As soon as we are considered as one group, we aren't even allowed to separate to have smaller Zimunim, unless from the beginning already we had the intention, we had the mind not to become one group.
I think there'd be a difference also. Of course,